monuments lie under Lake, what they call now Lake Nasser, Lake Nubia. And so I plan on engaging in underwater archaeology to honor some things there as well. This is what an archaeological site can look like when you come to it. It doesn't seem like there's very much there, does it? No. But there's subsurface archaeology. So we plan to do infrared aerial photography. That means fly over with an airplane and see where hot spots are through infrared photography so we can tell where to dig. Now that's not an inexpensive endeavor. We have to have the plane, we have to have the pilot, and we have to have the machinery. So if you know some millionaires or billionaires or trillionaires or kings and queens, give them my telephone numbers all over the flyer. I'll talk to them soon. This is what I chose for the logo, which is the faint image that you see in the back of those flyers. I call this the queen and her posse. This is called the Nubian elite. And you see there that the Nubian elite was of all skin types, dark, light, and in between. And what they tell us many times is that Nubian civilization, the civilization in Kemet, all those people were light-skinned, and the Nubians were black. So that puts Kemet in white Africa. There's no such thing as white Africa. There are people that have moved into the area over time, but there was no such thing as white Africa. And even the people who call themselves white are of mixed lineage themselves. So it's very important to know our history and know where we come from. Somebody called up on the radio show and told me, I don't care anything about what happened back then because we're getting our butt whooped now. And I said, well, it's because we don't know our experiences in the past that has taken away our pride so that we are getting whooped up now. And if people don't understand that and don't understand that concept is revolutionary in itself and scares the power structure, because if we don't know where we come from, we can't progress and we can't go into the future. And we don't have to keep on repeating the same mistakes. Our ancestors have given us the path to follow, and we really have to follow that path more so. I mean, you know, we can drive a car and follow the path, you know, we don't have to go back to horse and buggy. But we can also be very, very mindful of using clean resources. And, you know, there's no reason for people to inundate the Nile River when there's solar electric power, there's not nuclear power, geothermal power. There's all kinds of power that they can use. So that's just an excuse. This is a full picture of the Nubian Archaeological Project logo. And what's so important in this picture is that her driver is a woman. She has the reins on that calf, which all is traced back to the study of civilization and study of women as God. Women were represented as God in ancient Nubia. Why? Because they have reproductive systems. All of the property was traced matrilineal. Women, I'm going to say it, some of the brothers they don't like it, there was polyandry. The women had many husbands because you could inherit land and property and royalty through that way. So when men took it, they flip-flopped it topsy-turvy, and they began to take that power away from the women. And this calf, if you think of Hathor, that comes from Kemet as well. That comes from ancient Nubia. And the calf represents wealth, it represents fertility, and it's all women symbols that are involved here. So this civilization had great respect for women as well. And they also understood balance. It couldn't be women and women and men and all that kind of thing. They understood balance, and they understood the importance of family as well. That's why Bes, the deity within the house, he protected women and children. So it's very important. And those people were the Twa people, the little Bes figure that you'll see in museums, and they'll say he's a demon. He is not a demon. He's a Twa, a Hottentot. And he protected women and children, and that was what was left over from the study of As, the woman as God. More pictures of not the good one. Well, no, I'll show you that one. Now this is Taseti, the emblem of the warrior Taseti. Taseti is the oldest city in ancient Nubia, and Taseti means land of the bow. So this is their emblem. And if you notice, it's been thought that this warrior symbol of the lion is a female lion because the lion doesn't have a mane. So this was a warrioress. This was a warrioress community. It is thought. I haven't read anything that said that there were full women armies like there was in Dahomey and Benin and stuff, but I do think that this is some of the residuals of that study, of that ancient worship of woman as God. This is a picture of what they call Candaces or Kentakes, or the Kendakis, and that simply means queen. When people misname the Candaces, and one of the Candaces married into the Medici family and infiltrated that lineage, which the Medici family is an Italian family, and they infiltrated that family to make them powerful. That was the beginning of godfathers and all those kind of Sicilian folks and Moors and things like that. But what's important about this figure is that the women were large in this picture. It wasn't, they thought when the people wanted to represent wealth, they represented a well-endowed woman. And just like you can't, the way you can tell somebody, if somebody is wealthy, you look at their wife. Their wife usually is dripping with jewelry and gold and stuff. And same thing here. And she's with her king, her pharaoh, and her king, and they are making an offering. And the offering follows behind her. They gave cakes and things, and they gave that on the offering at the monuments. This is a Pitamek. A Pitamek was the lioness that protected the royal family in ancient Nubia. Apitamek or Apitamek, that's the Ebonic way to pronounce it, that's okay. And this lion, as you see, is giving. And again, female symbols because of this civilization. Females were just, they were just rebel. And I'm not really interested in that because I am a female. I'm more interested in it because it's the truth. Because it is important to recover and uncover the truth. And we don't like people misinterpreting or leaving out our history. It's our job to interpret our own history. And I want to get firsthand. I hope to be in the Sudan for 3 or 4 months out of the year, starting next January. Where's my boss, Bami Deli? Bami Deli, did you hear that? Are you still here? So I want a leave of absence. But there he is. I see a head. For 3 or 4 months. That's the director of the curatorial department at the Charles H. Wright Museum, and thank you for your support for coming out. This shows one of the monuments being inundated with water, totally surrounded by water. This was once a dry place as well. I'm not sure which one this is, but it's many monuments, several hundred monuments that have been buried and are surrounded by water now. This is the Elephantine Temple. I do know what this one is. And this one, you've heard of the great elephant, and that symbols, it's usually in the Zulus. Well, that culture came down from ancient Nubia, and they had monuments of elephants, and the elephants were strong. As Baba Malika was saying in the introduction, that the elephants, that the culture was one family, the Eritrean, the Ethiopian, the Sudanese, the people from Kemet, and the people from Punt and Kush. It was one family. The borders were fluid, which means they changed back and forth. They got wider. However you could instate your culture was your boundary. Do you understand what I'm saying? However wide your culture spread was your boundary. And women were the negotiators of those cultures. Hopefully I can show you some pictures of some of those sisters that were the lead of those cultures in ancient Nubia. This is one of the monuments. This monument has had a little bit of restoration, a little bit of conservation. And at the front of the monument is where people go and make offerings. I just want you to see how large this monument is. If you see the man standing out in front, it kind of gives you a little scale of how large these monuments are. And this is actually a burial chamber